Ladies and gentlemen, it is once again time for So That's Cool, the Super Fight podcast. But before we get started, I got to tell you where you can find us. Coming up March 30th to April 1st, we are going to be at AwesomeCon in Washington, D.C. I think we're going to be doing 2 shows. I don't know if Marty's described it yet or actually done the thing or not, or I'm jumping the gun. But, you know, tough shit, Marty. Do better. Whatever. So, anyway, with that, come see us. We're probably going to end up doing an Unleashed. I'm sure we're going to end up doing a regular show. You can high-five us and, you know, hang out with us all weekend. We can go to dinner and, you know, we'll have some bonding moments. You can sit behind the table, hang out with me, tell me how great I am. You know, it's all of your favorite things together. Oh, yeah, and there's going to be a ton of awesome guests because that con kicks ass. But speaking of kicking ass, ladies and gentlemen, come on. The absolutely undeniably adorable tour de force of just absolute drawing destruction and excitement that is Killer Colleen.
That's me.
That is you.
That is
1/3 of the Brawlers, former Super Fight heavyweight champion. And you are with me today to discuss what, my dear?
This is a defense of teen/chick movies, very specifically like 1995 to 2001.
All right, so we're gonna call that the butter zone for. Now, hang on. First and foremost, let me back up here real fast.
Mm-hmm.
One, unlike Homestuck, I have no desire to attack these movies. So while I may not have seen some of them, I have no ill will toward them, and I like to give the audience an idea of where I am on certain things so that they know what they're getting into. Homestuck can still fuck right off. I don't care what Steve and Aaron say. That's fine. But with this one, I also want to cover, am I allowed to call them chick movies? Is that acceptable now?
Well, I was calling them chick movies, but in my head I spell them like CHIK, and I don't know why I do that, but that's how I've been doing it.
Okay.
But it's like the stereotype chick movie. They're not chick movies. We're going to cover that. This is for everybody.
Okay, so if I put chick in quotations, do you think that's safe enough?
Yes.
That it's not a, because what I'm trying to be clear here is, while I may be a Luddite about a lot of things, I'm not gonna actively be an asshole about things I know better than.
Yes.
So I'm not just gonna start demeaning all of womanhood by just going, yeah, stupid chick movies, whatever.
Right. Well, see, that's what the defense is all about, is to go, you know, a lot of people look at these movies and go, oh, that's a cheerleading movie. Or, oh, that's a movie about some dumb high school girl who likes to shop. Like, there is a lot of it. A lot of them are heavy satires, and I feel like people just don't give them even remotely a shot. And you can see that based on the numbers they bring in. Like Josie and the Pussycats was a major flop.
Whoa, I got to be honest with you. Like, you took a look at someone sat down, took a look at that cartoon and went, we should make a live action movie. And I understand that they may have like really turned it around, but under no circumstances was that ever going to be good. Like, if somebody went, hey, we're going to make a Jabberjaw movie, I'm not expecting like Citizen Kane. I'm not.
And yet Josie and the Pussycats is just, it's riveting and amazing, and people need to see it and look at it with new eyes, and maybe they will after I have broken all this down.
Okay, all right. So
them.
Let's start from the start, because you, like, before we got started, you laid down like an agenda. You are cock, lock, and ready to rock. So where are we starting here so that I can try and hang on and
So first things first, we're going to talk about consumerism. And we're going to talk about consumerism through the vehicle of Josie and the Pussycats.
Okay.
Which
apparently Colleen's ready to tackle some serious life issues. Like, here I am just making dick and fart jokes with Dan last week, but you know, whatever. This is like what I didn't expect doing this podcast was to start tackling real things. I thought people were going to be like, I'm super into dinosaurs. And I'd be like, yeah, cool. Teach me about an Allosaurus. And you're like, we're going to tackle social injustice through 90s teen movies. So strap in, motherfucker. Let's do this thing.
Yeah, basically.
All right, cool.
So Josie and the Pussycats was put up by Universal Pictures and and MGM. It came out in 2001. It was like my favorite movie ever. To be fair, like, but actually one of my favorite movies ever. It made a grand total of 14.9 million at the box office after its
Okay.
$39 billion budget. So that is a flop, right?
Yeah, I mean it's not a DC superhero movie flop,
No,
but
but
it's, you know,
it's not great.
okay.
So when you look at it just on the surface, it is an adaptation of Josie and the Pussycats. Um, they have at least racially appropriate characters. They didn't whitewash Valerie.
Okay.
Rosario Dawson, badass to play
Yes.
Valerie, amazing. Um, and one of the things that people usually notice when I have them watch Josie and the Pussycats right off the bat is the amazing amount of product placement. Like it smacks you across the face.
Right.
There's
So like they clearly paid for this movie with just dropping product.
yes, but also no. So the first, like one of the first scenes, you're in an airplane, but it's a Target airplane, and it has bounce dryer sheets on the wall and Tide and like Crest toothpaste, 17 magazine, Diet Coke. There's a whole lot of things going on in this very first scene that's setting things up. And then Du Jour, the greatest band of all time, starts asking questions, right? And so they have to get they have to go, right? And so they have to get a new band because consumerism, they can just pop out bands as fast as you want, just plug it in and there we go, right?
Okay.
That's how the music industry works.
Sure, yeah, okay. At least in the 90s when it came to boy bands, yes.
Yes. So, which was Du Jour. Great. But one of the things that they really took was a lot of this pop culture that was happening in the 90s, like Behind the Music and all that other stuff, TRL, and really used that as a vehicle to talk about this consumerism. Because, you know, at the beginning, Josie and Pussycats, they're like, oh, this is great. We've got a record contract. But then things start to get weird when, you know, not to spoil it for everyone, but I'm going to spoil it for everyone if you haven't watched it. I mean, like, it's been, what, like 17 years now?
I mean, God damn it, Colleen.
17 years now. Spoiler alert. Everything is done through subliminal messages underneath the music, telling people to buy things. And Josie has become a trend pimp. She's no trend pimp, for sure. So she goes on, you know, the crux of the movie is to defeat the evil record executives who are putting this stuff underneath the music to sell teenagers things, and create like a mindless drove of just buying blocks. And but at the end, I am ruining this for everyone, but you had 17 years, people. At the end, they break it down, and you see all this stuff throughout the movie, Sega, all this stuff, and they say we were gonna shut you all down anyway, the whole music thing, because subliminal messages work way better in movies. And then the movie stops for a second, and you get a nice subliminal thing of join the army. And then it goes again. And you're like, because basically Josie and the Pussycats is the greatest movie ever. Join the army, move on. And so it's extremely meta. You know, there is 2 wall breaks, both by Alan Cummings' character. But the rest of the time, no one is aware. But it's so meta on the consumerist level. They know what they're doing. Right. They're saying, they just use Josie and the Pussycats to say, hey, look at this consumerist culture that we have, where one day the in color's blue, then it's orange, then it's pink, and everyone has to go to Abercrombie and Fitch and have the coolest new pop collar shirt, or have like the most awesome flip-flops, Adidas sweats, whatever. And it changes like the wind, and you aren't what you wear and you aren't what you buy. You're who you are on the inside, and that's the whole message behind Josie and the Pussycats as a movie, is that consumerist culture is terrible, and you should like what you like, no matter what happens or what the outside world is saying. Be who you are and like what you like. And
oh my god, this feels like the bubbliest version of Fight Club I've ever heard.
Less like male angst and like
right.
Yeah.
But I mean, hidden subliminal messages, the idea of being yourself, the idea of not following the system, you're not your fucking khakis, like that.
It's like two very different ends of a spectrum came together and meet at this nice harmonious middle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like one exceptionally dark, violent, angst-filled place, and then one very sugar-coated pop bubblegum place came together and said,
I think I figured out why this movie didn't do so well, because that Venn diagram, I think it's basically theater kids, and that's about it.
Well, I mean, I wasn't even a theater kid, you know? Yeah, I was just like, letters.
Hang on a second. Let's be clear here. You listen to My Chemical Romance.
I do, because I like opera, but I'm not a theater kid.
Okay, but you're theater adjacent. I wasn't a theater kid, and I'm theater adjacent. Like, that's the idea.
That's fair.
Like,
that's fair.
If you are near or around anyone who is performing...
I can't say anything. I'm in a fucking play. Like, right. In high school, I was not a theater kid.
Right, yeah. But it was deep inside. I can spot my own, believe me.
Yeah, but I think it didn't do well because people said, oh, this is a dumb comedy that's about, just Josie and the Pussycats. Why would I want to see that?
Right.
When really it is so, it's so subtle, but it's smacking you in the face, but it's subtle about it until you get to the end and you're like, oh, well, that's what happened. They just took this entire movie to smack me in the face and say, look at this consumerist culture, you asshole, and you should be okay with yourself and maybe not buy so much shit. While
you're actually actively buying some shit from them.
Well, just the ticket to the movie, yes.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, it really did make me think at the time, and it makes me think now, and I still frequently watch it because it's just, there's little things that you miss, and you see in all the rewatchings, and I'm like, this is brilliant filmmaking that is so underrated.
Nice. Okay. So what's the next one on the docket?
So the next one we're covering is Legally Blonde, which came out in 2001.
Okay, we're talking about the first one, correct?
Correct. We're very specific.
I have seen this.
Excellent. Yes. So this was 2001. Let me see if I didn't bring up everything when I started looking up stuff. Right. So it's MGM as well, July 13th, 2001. This one was a box office success. Right. Budget of $18 million and box office $141.8 million.
What? Wow.
I mean, crazy. It's a damn good movie.
Well, it's not just that, but I'm shocked they managed to film that thing for 18 mil since Josie cost 34.
39, yeah. Well, I mean, I imagine they had to buy licenses to use all that product placement. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I would imagine much like with Wayne's World, they just managed to strike up deals with them and they just placed it.
I have no idea. I'll have to look it up one day.
Yeah.
Well, Legally Blonde is another amazing movie. Dealing with the fact that, when you think about teen movies and your stereotypical chick flick, a lot of times words are thrown around like vapid, which is actually, I believe, used in the movie as well to describe Elle, the main character, Elle Woods. If you haven't seen it, which, come on, guys, again, 2001. Same year as Josie and the Pussycats, to be clear. One was April, and then this one's July, I think.
Okay.
So what you get on the cover and the movie poster is someone who is, your general idealized American standard of beauty. She's blonde. She's very in shape, toned, well make-upped, perfect hair, perfect clothes, everything. Perfect, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, because memory serves, that movie poster makes her look like like law office Barbie almost.
You are correct. And she's very rich. She's very white. She's affluent. She comes from Bel Air. And is this Bel Air or Beverly Hills? I want to say it's Bel Air.
6 of one, half dozen the other.
Right.
Rich ass and white as fuck.
Right. So she's rich. She's in a sorority. She has her life planned out for her. And then douchebag Warner does everything that says, hey, we're can continue this relationship.
I love that they were willing to go back to the 80s trope of picking the dude with the awful first name, because you could tell a shitty boyfriend by the first name.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
Werner, Steubing, Tyler, like it's always something soft as shit.
Yeah. Well, Warner, that guy, you know, everything that he is doing, everything that has been said, has led Elle to believe that he's going to propose. When in fact he breaks up with her in public. Guys, don't do that. No one wants a scene. Do it in person, but don't be an asshole. So obviously there's a scene. It's really obnoxious. Everyone hates it. Even like everyone hates it. But you know, she doesn't just sit and whine and cry. She goes, you know what? I can get into fucking law school. And so she fucking does. And you know what? Let's
real quick. Why does she get into law school again? Because wasn't it to prove the now ex wrong?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
The original reasoning for getting into law school was a shitty reason for getting into law school. Is that she wanted to be the perfect woman for Werner, like a Vanderbilt. And so instead of she could have just, you know, maybe try and use daddy's money or something to get her in. She studied. They had a whole training montage of her studying and taking the LSATs and practicing. And in the end, her LSAT score was actually very high.
Mm-hmm.
She did a great job on her LSATs. She got in completely on her own merit. Her video entrance essay was a little unconventional, but you know what? She had good scores, she had good recommendations, and she had a weird ass like video essay. And they went, all right, we're gonna take her, and they did. And Warner was waitlisted, by the way.
Nice.
He did need daddy's money, but Elle did not need the help of her father or the help of anyone else except for her sorority sisters who helped her study.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because sisters helping sisters. And the moment that Warner is like, you don't have to be here. You can go just be cute and do cute things, is the moment you see Elle snap into being her own person. And it is beautiful. You physically see Reese Witherspoon in the acting, her face changes.
Yeah.
And she, in that realization moment of, excuse me, what? Did we not take the same test and get into the same law school? Because, yeah, we did. And then you get the rest of that training montage where she is studying and getting a computer and all this other stuff. And there's the annoying things between her and Vivian, which gets resolved. You know, girls pitted against girls to get the guy. And once the guy comes out of the picture and he is gone, and it comes solely about Elle becoming the best lawyer that she can fucking be, the movie just takes flight. And it's amazing that, you know, Elle is taking all of her knowledge base into this courtroom. And one of the great things that I really appreciate is, yes, you know, sometimes people see beauty and fashion, all that is vapid, but it is things that people are very much invested in.
Mm-hmm.
And what she's talking about with perms is science. Like, that's chemistry. It's hair chemistry, but it's chemistry. And these are things that Elle finds fascinating. And she can take that knowledge base of her life and put it into law.
Yeah.
Because those are still things that need to be dealt with law. Yes, it's a murder trial, but it does impact the second movie with her where she takes her lawyering career.
Right.
And so while Elle at face value is taken as being this vapid, just meant to be beautiful in her own words, people just seeing her as a Victoria's Secret model, really she is a deep and intelligent person who just happens to not care about, all this other law stuff. Like, yes, people like environmental law, corporate law, whatever, tort reform. I don't care. Elle is interested in fashion and cosmetics. And that needs lawyers too, and that is important. It's important to say that you can be a whole person who is very interested in one thing that may be seen as frivolous,
right?
But also be able to talk intelligently about that. Like, if someone it can very much tell me all these crazy things about their shoes, how they were made, all this stuff, just because they're so interested into it, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And not vapid in the slightest,
Right.
Because they're taking their time to learn things. Like, that's what I find most interesting. So, again, you take Elle face value, and you're just going to see this blonde Barbie doll. But what the movie is telling you is you need to look fucking past that to what's underneath. And underneath is someone who cares a lot about things. The environment, you know what I mean?
Good question for you. Can I fire back here just out of curiosity? Sure. Because I like hearing you going on. I do agree with you on that take of it. Now, I don't remember this, so I'm asking the questions as I kind of go along.
Sure.
Do you remember what she was going to do before she was going to law school?
Yes, fashion merchandising.
Okay, so we're talking about being maybe a purchaser for a large
boutique. Chain? Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's assume maybe it's a boutique. Maybe it's something like LA based, super chic, high end, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Okay. So when she decides that she wants to go and do the thing to prove him wrong, do you have any issue with that?
Oh, yeah. Her choice to specifically, it wasn't to prove him wrong. She went to law school to become the perfect woman for Warner. So she followed him to law school because she saw in a magazine that Warner's older brother was getting married to a Vanderbilt. And they were both going to Yale, I think.
Okay.
And so she went, I need to go to Harvard and be more like this Vanderbilt. And when she gets there, Warner is magically engaged to Vivian Kensington, old family names and all that jazz.
Right. Okay.
So she basically went to go try and get Warner back. That's where her original reasoning for going is problematic, because it wasn't what she had originally wanted to do. She wanted to fashion merchandising, and that's what she wanted to do. Good for her, man. She was clearly very good at it.
Right.
But she didn't. She said, no, I want Warner. I'm going to follow him and become the perfect woman. So she was trying to change herself for Warner, which is not okay.
Okay.
It is absolutely not okay. But she's already at law school. And then the Warner telling her she can go back to California and be, whatever, and not do anything. She's like, fuck you, no. I'm already here.
Okay, but hang on a second, because I got to ask the question, because you brought up the idea of sisters helping sisters. She definitely got help from her sorority sisters.
She did.
Training for everything.
Yes.
I find it incredibly hard to believe that at no point along the way did anyone in her sorority not sit her down and go, the fuck are you following this douchebag for?
Well, maybe they were all just really supportive. I mean, I would hope that someone said, hey, this is not a great idea, but in movie land, no one did.
I get that. I like the idea of like somebody sitting down and going, what are you doing this for? And her just go, to prove him wrong and to go be this thing, because if he can do it, I can do it. And I'm like, fuck it, go do the thing. But when I find it really hard to believe that there's this like, I don't know, maybe I'm asking too much of the end result because I agree, like in the end, it's a great story of like, use the knowledge you have and be what you're into and yada, but like at no point along the way, nobody went, Elle, why? Well, why are you chasing this guy? Clearly, if you are who you are, you have the ability to have anyone that you choose who will love you for you.
she did in two different people. So there's the character Paula, who is the manicurist at the salon, who is like, this, I mean, like, good for you, but does that really sound like a thing you want to do? And she's this, you know, this very simple woman who all she wants in life is love and her dog. And like, that's all she wants, love and her dog.
Okay.
And to do manicures, you know?
Okay, right on, right.
I love, she's such a good character. Or Paulette, sorry, not Paula, Paulette. And so Elle goes to her for advice and catharsis, and she uses her as a springboard for a lot of her feelings. And then the next would be one of her first professors of her first semester at law school, who is a hard-ass woman. And when some things were happening during the trial that Elle has picked up on, this teacher is like, are you really going to let some asshole ruin your life for this bullshit?
Yeah.
And Elle's like, you know what? You're right, because you are a badass woman at this law school, and if you can do it, I can do it. And with Vivian, you know, that got resolved. They became friends by the end because they realized that fighting over a boy is fucking stupid.
Oh, yeah.
And it resolves itself nicely that, you know, they go, you know what, let's not fight. We shouldn't be fighting with each other. We should be working together.
Right.
And a lot of the people that there were a lot of people that Elle did judge in the beginning who then were also judging her, not including Warner. Obviously, he's just an asshole. But, you know, there's the lumbering nerd type character, the guy that's like super tall and really just hasn't figured out how to talk to women, who's judging Elle for being this vapid thing that he sees, and she's judging him for being this lumbering nerd. Right. But in reality, like, he's just a guy who doesn't know how to fucking talk to women, who is nice and helpful, and she is smarter than she looks. And in the end, they work together and become friends. And she helps him out, and he helps her out. And then they're friends, and it's great.
Okay, so I think the lesson we learned from my nitpicking is stop fucking nitpicking and just enjoy the thing for the thing. Because also it's an early 2000s movie, and I'm asking
You're asking
current
for a
sensibilities of something from 2001.
Right, yeah. And I
do find it funny that they did slightly tackle it with the most practical character, it sounds like, in the movie. Because I do find it really intriguing that Elle goes to the small business owner who does what some would consider more of a remedial style job to get perspective on the world.
Oh, Paulette is one of the best characters. And they become best friends. Like, Elle has two best friends from home, and Paulette becomes her Boston best friend. And it's just really nice seeing that after Elle's been at school for a while and has more of the lawyer vocabulary in her life, she goes and she gives back to Paulette and helps her get her dog. Like, it was legitimately like a beautiful moment when Paulette could be like, I'm taking the dog, and did. And then it was just Bruiser and Paulette's dog, and they were in the car, and it was cute and amazing because friends help each other. Sometimes you have to lie and pretend you're a lawyer. It's like, fine, right?
No, it makes total sense. I do it all.
Yeah, completely. So yeah, Legally Blonde is a good movie about not judging a book by its cover and not doing anything for anyone else and doing things only for you. You know, do things for your own reasons and all that jazz, as you know, lifestyle coaches are wont to say.
I will say your choice in quote unquote chick movies is kind of interesting because they all seem to have a similar thread, and I noticed that both of them, or neither one of them that you've chosen to represent the genre, are the stereotypical love story movie style things. I don't know if that gets lumped into a different movie category for you.
Well, I will say, because there is a love story in Josie and the Pussycats. She ends up with Alan M.
Okay.
There is a love story in Legally Blonde. She ends up with Emmett. But the thing about those two male leads is that in the end, they see that the female character, the main character, is a whole person, and they love that person for being a whole person. And this is, I really feel uh, really clear in Legally Blonde, that Luke Wilson's character very much is there as a like, you got this, honey, and in the end to Elle, and just buttresses her and isn't there to take credit or shine. He's like, look, you've got this. I know you need a little extra help because you're not a real lawyer yet. So I'm just going to go behind her and say what she said.
Right.
And use my lawyerness, my actual lawyerness, to go, okay, yeah, no, all right, just whatever.
Yeah. This is all A-okay. Thumbs up.
Yeah, and Alan M. has been in love with Josie forever and believed in her when she wasn't believing in herself, which is like seriously one of the cheesiest lines in all of movies ever. In all, like, and whenever it happens, the whole like, I believe in you thing. Super cheesy. But one of the things that I do want to point, because they are on the whole mostly teen movies, and one of the things that I really like to look at between, say, something like you've got Mail and Sleepless in Seattle versus Legally Blonde, Josie and Pussycats, and some of the other ones we're talking about, is that the women in the movies that I'm talking about are they're obviously, they're teens or young adults, and their life hasn't solidified into a thing. So you've got Mail. She is an adult who has her own store. She has a life. She has friends, but is missing love, apparently. And I feel the difference is that in a lot of those more adult, stereotypical romance movies, as they're adults, they're both very stuck in their life. And there's not a lot of, forward momentum. There isn't a lot of like, oh, things are ever evolving. Things, anything. Sky is not really the limit for them anymore because they've gotten to their life point, right?
Right.
We're hitting them in the middle of their life point. They're living their routines. In these movies, in Josie and the Pussycats, they didn't have a record contract. They were playing out of a bowling alley. They were dreaming of being rock stars, or in their early 20s. And this is the beginning of their, like, in a weird roundabout way, hero's quest. And it's the same with Legally Blonde. Like, it is legitimately the starting of Elle's hero's journey in a very bizarre way that I really want to explore in the future. But it's that sense of things are just beginning for them. And being a teen movie, I think not only are they sometimes dismissed for being romance, goo-goo stuff, they're also dismissed for being dumb teen movies.
Right. Well, I think that's more the crux of my statement is more that they're teen movies than they are chick flicks. And I think there's a big difference, like, because there's a difference in between, say, like, I would probably agree with you. Like, Sleepless in Seattle is farther away, but like the more, like, when I hear the term chick flick, I think of a movie like A Walk to Remember or something like that, where like it is,
but also
super sad
teen
and
movie.
Yes.
They are teenagers.
They are teenagers, but that movie is so far away from Legally Blonde.
Well, again, that's also a lot of the ones that I'm talking about are comedies, just because I feel like those tend to be seen as less serious because they're comedies.
Well, it also gives an ability to tackle a topic or a genre or a stereotype and do it in a creative way, because you have humor as a way to kind of move the story along, whereas something else that has to be the sweeping kind of like, you have to build up with it, like, fuck, just no.
Yeah, I think the reason that I feel like these are so underrated is because I do think that the humor part of it is dismissed, and they're not really seen as satires, which I feel like in a lot of senses they almost are.
Right.
Especially like the next movie that I'm going to talk about, and the author of the book that it's based on, a lot of times very much gets mistaken for just being romance.
Okay.
And not being satire. So let's talk about it now.
Let's get into this, because I know what movie you're talking about, but the idea of the author, like, we're not talking about the writer of the script.
Oh, no. Okay,
so educate me here.
So we're going to talk about Clueless, my favorite movie of all time ever. So Clueless came out in 1995.
Proving that Paul Rudd is actually a Highlander.
He is absolutely a Highlander. It was Paramount.
Okay.
I want to see what their... sorry about not bringing this up. Okay, so their budget and this was a modest profit. Budget was $12 million. Box office was 56.6. So not bad.
I'd call that a success.
Yeah. So the book is based off of Jane Austen's Emma. And Jane Austen is frequently, and I could do a whole podcast on this one alone, just seen as a romance writer. Pride and Prejudice, that's romance. No, it is not fucking romance. It is satire on the Regency era's social norms. Like, it's legitimately what this is. It's saying, everything's ridiculous. All of the things that happen in that era in terms of courtship are ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
Jane Austen took a fucking mirror to it and said, "Do you see how ridiculous you all are?"
Right.
And people ate that shit up. And so Clueless has taken a mirror of white privileged America in this exceptionally consumerist culture that was baking into the 80s and 90s, and taking a mirror and going, "Look at yourselves, you're ridiculous." But, again, it is seen as a dumb teen movie with romance. But it's so not. It's so much more than that. So this one does couple the first two things that we talked about, consumerism and, this whole not judging book by its cover, vapidness. And that is Cher. Cher is consumerism and vapidness.
Okay, hang on, because we should be clear here. Cher is the main character.
Main character, right. Cher Horowitz. Yeah.
So Beverly we're talking about for anyone not following along, this is Alicia Silverstone's character.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Alicia Silverstone's character. She is this privileged white girl who has tons of money. She is a different outfit every day. Her daddy's a high-powered lawyer. He bought her this Jeep. She doesn't know how to fucking drive because she doesn't have a license. That's a huge thing. And he's gone through multiple wives. There's just a lot going on in Cher's life. And
right. But well, hang on a second, because I feel like you're kind of glazing over something here.
Yeah.
Cher's mom died.
She died in a freak liposuction accident.
Right, but the photo of her is still hanging up prominently in the house, so she's
correct.
Still a revered character. So to the dad's credit, because I have seen and enjoyed this movie, so I am going to geek out with you here and kind of give my own perspective if you'll allow it.
Yeah, totally. Oh no, internet. Internet, come back.
And giving Cher someone to pull off of.
My internet just froze, so I have no idea what you said.
Talking about the dad being great and not necessarily believing in her because she hasn't given him any reason to believe in her yet, and him putting the mother on a pedestal and not shying away from Cher having a strong female like character in her life, even though she doesn't actually have one actively in her day to day.
Well, it is brought up that in the movie that Cher doesn't have a mother figure, which is why she's acting out the way she is.
Right.
So Cher and Dion, they go through their school day like every day, and then the stranger comes, because this is the hero's journey, clearly. And that is in the tiny, petite little mess of Ty Frazier, played by Brittany Murphy. And what I find really interesting that I think people glaze over in this movie is that Cher's main goals in life: get her license and get good grades.
Mm-hmm.
Cher is obsessed with her grades. Obsessed.
Right.
The whole everything with her trying to get those two teachers together for helping Ty, all this stuff was in pursuit of not only bettering herself, but getting better grades.
Right. Well, I mean, because let's be clear here. Between Cher and Ty, they combined together, I'd argue, maybe 4 of the Saved by the Bell characters. Because Cher is definitely Lisa and Jesse together. The obsession with the grades and being perfect, and the obsession.
And also, I mean, you also, yeah, and I feel like the trifecta though, because Stacey Dash's character Dion plus Alicia Silverstone as Cher, and then Brittany Murphy as Ty, are basically Saved by the Bell.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you could actually like fit in all the characters into the sort of, you know, Zach would be Elton, and then Murray would be Slater, and Travis would be Screech.
I guess Travis would count as Screech.
There's no real Screech character, so I would put Travis in there, I guess.
Okay, fair enough.
It doesn't quite work as a one-to-one.
It definitely is the finest snapshot of what high school life was like during that time period, between like when she was walking the quad and talking about the different groups of people. That is the most spot on to what life was like for me between, I'd say, 6th grade and 10th grade, probably.
Yeah. And what I find really interesting is that it is a lot more like Emma than I think people realize. And so what it really says to me is that like social mores and culture, the very underlay of it really has not changed all that much in all this time. Yes, I mean, a lot of the actual performance of it is the same, but the underlying things behind all of our performances is completely the same as it was back in the Regency era, which is why these movies work so well. It's why, 10 Things I Hate About You works so well, because the main themes of that just fit so well into a modern day scene that you could easily take something like that and make it feel real. 10 Things I Hate About You, while it's a wonderful movie, is very not real. Like, none of that felt real.
Right.
However, Clueless felt like that could be a thing in some very rich neighborhood in California. I don't see that as being very, considering that, again, everything she was concerned about was her car, her grades, her clothes, and her friends.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely buttoned itself up very nicely. It's in the same way that I thought Can't Hardly Wait buttoned itself up nicely.
Yeah.
That, like, there were a lot of things that I could very much see happening, but everything kind of worked together in a almost Sorkin level of perfection that never really happens in real life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's also like there's the scene with when Josh and Cher and Josh's girlfriend Heather, because in the 90s they were always named Heather. Like, legitimately.
It's
Huh?
Not just the 90s.
Yeah. So they're talking about philosophy, and Heather, the girlfriend, misquotes Shakespeare, and Cher corrects her correctly. And she's dismissed as being this dumb bimbo, but yes, in reality, the Shakespeare she knows is Mel Gibson, but she's at least watched that and has retained that information so that she can quote Polonius accurately. So, yes, and I frequently, when people talk about immigration, go to the scene the chair is discussing, Haitian immigration, because, the Haitian refugees, and talks about the Statue of Liberty. And I'm like, if Cher Horowitz can get this, you can too. Like, she's chewing bubblegum and discussing a garden party. But if you take the garden party as the metaphor of the United States, it perfectly works.
I think you're assuming that most people who have trouble understanding this are also willing to sit through Cher's speech, because mentally, when she starts, that is one of the few moments in that movie where just all I hear is Charlie Brown's parents. Like, yeah, like I understand that she's having this triumphant moment, and my brain could not focus. I just hear
as a metaphor, it works so well. It really does. Like, that's like part of the thing. It's like, if you really pay attention and you look at it, it really works. It's well written. And I mean, yes, again, this has a lot to do with love and romance. And the whole main thing is that, Cher likes to play matchmaker. She likes to do makeovers.
Right.
And she does not do a great job all the time. She fucks up frequently. But she tries real hard to be a good friend and a good daughter and everything, and get good grades. That's very important.
Right.
And so does Dion. Dion also very much cares about their grades. They discuss that on multiple occasions throughout the film.
Well, because being successful is a very important thing for them.
It is.
And it shows a very interesting culture that I think a lot of the kids maybe watching it didn't like really glom onto, which is you have to put work in to be successful. And I don't know if they actually, like, I think they unintentionally did a good job of explaining that, but I don't think they ever really beat it over the head to the point where maybe a kid who was watching it, who really enjoyed it for the funny in it and what have you, took it as an inspirational thing of like, I really should stop dicking around so much and passing notes.
Well, yeah, I think maybe that would have been great if that was legitimately what was taken out of it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, because they cover it with Travis, where they basically call him a burnout, and they cover like dudes who hang out all day, skateboard and smoke pot.
The local loadies. Yeah.
Right. Like, they are considered less than. And while this is not necessarily the best message to send to someone, because Travis ends up becoming more of a lovable character as he's cleaned up and, given a fair shake and what have you.
But what I like about Travis, though, is that while I do think it's unfair to be like, I mean, but, sign of the times with all the, like, war on drug things and stuff of that, like, nature. But, Cher is not like a super, prude when it comes to that kind of thing. But
right, yeah.
he puts in the work,
right.
Like, I think on some level that is really made clear, especially with the whole like disaster relief scene, that he's really taken the time to put the work in to become a better person.
Right.
And there was nothing like Travis was a fine person before, he didn't really care a lot, but he had some moments of clarity about, not fighting with his parents and all this other stuff. He just had little pearls of wisdom.
Right.
And then he got, he was like, I got sober and this clarity, but he put the work in to be a better person. He apologized to Cher for her shoes. He got rid of all this stuff, but he was donating it instead of throwing it away. and he became a better skater. And Cher, seeing the error of her fucking ways, because her not liking Travis was, like Emma, a mistake. Because Ty and Travis were not, like, obviously, like, oh my god, Everly after, like, whatever. But they were a match that worked. And Cher's prejudices, her cultural and social prejudices, kept her from letting Ty be happy. And that is the whole thing, is that in Emma and in Clueless, that those prejudices that Cher held for status originally in the beginning was a mistake.
Right.
And when she gets brought down to earth through her own humiliation, she goes, oh, I fucked up. Yeah, you did fuck up. And she's also allowed to grow. And so she and Ty can become friends again because of their own personal growth. Travis gets the girl because of his personal growth. And everyone who has personal growth gets a happily ever after. Basically. And then you have Elton, who gets stuck with Amber because those two, zero personal growth. And they get stuck with each other.
Right.
And then the Mighty Mighty Bosstones show up. And that's what happens.
Because it's the summer of ska, and that's how things work.
Right? Yeah. That's what happens when you go to a frat party. The Mighty Mighty Bosstones are there, even though it's LA.
Right. Yeah. That's totally how everything works. And then there's like a 35-year-old dude who just skag dances, and, you know, because why not?
You know. Yeah, I mean, that's what I also liked about the first two movies we talked, or about also Josie and the Pussycats and 10 Things I Hate About You. That covers Letters to Cleo right there. Underrated. So good.
Okay, all right.
So so the getting back on track of movies. So
yes.
Cher is a very complex character, and I feel like a lot of times when people see Clueless, they go, this is going to be one note. It's going to be a dumb rich white girl doing dumb rich white girl things, and it's going to be funny because this is just going to be, or not even funny, it's going to be stupid because it's just dumb, stupid humor about rich kids.
Right.
But everything is a lot more complex. There is a lot of product placement in it. The entire cafeteria scene where she stops and goes, ooh, Snickers. Yeah. Like really? Movie? Okay. But in 5 years, or 6 years, whatever, from 95 to 2001, like, you can see the progress in terms of that. Like consumerism, where it's like in the beginning, you've got Clueless 1995 being like, ooh, Snickers, Diet Coke, M&Ms, Twizzlers, blah, blah, blah. And then you get to 2001 with Josie and the Pussycats, and it's basically commentary on all of that consumerism that's in those movies from 95.
Right.
It's just a really interesting continuation of all of these things. And let me bring up the info for the next one, because I know that this one's so one of like the main things of those three that needs to be covered is that in Josie and the Pussycats, Legally Blonde, and Clueless, all three main characters are white women, and two of them are specifically extremely affluent and very privileged. So, to counter that, we're going to talk about cultural appropriation, whitewashing, and white guilt with Bring It On.
Okay.
Which is a movie about cheerleading. But
this is one that I could not bring myself to watch.
But you should. You really should. You're going to be pleasantly surprised, I think. So the main character is Torrance, and she inherits her cheerleading squad from Big Red, who is a heinous bitch. And Big Red has been stealing all of their cheers from, unbeknownst to Tor, the local cheerleading high school in Oakland. So the all-black cheerleading team, the Clovers, led by Isis, who is amazing Gabrielle Union. Sorry, I just looked at my cat. She jumped up. Lost track of thought. Hi, Pippy Cat.
Gabrielle Union.
Gabrielle Union, right? Amazing. Also, like Paul Rudd, does not age.
Yeah.
She looks the same as she did in 2000.
Yes.
I don't know what water those two are drinking, but, great for them.
Yeah.
So when Torrance finds out that this is what has been happening, she's like, oh, fuck. No, this is not my life. Everything is wrong. This is not okay. Which is how she should feel. Like, her captain has been appropriating from this other team for years. She was not aware, and now that she is aware, she's like, shit, I gotta change.
Well, I don't even know if it's really considered appropriating. That's straight up thievery. I mean, that, like...
Yeah, it is. It's colonialism, really.
Right, but, like, I equate that more for, like, one comedian straight taking another comedian's bit. Like, when you're stealing someone else's performance, that's not cultural appropriation. That's just straight up theft.
I mean, in all honesty, it's basically just colonialism.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when she finds this out, she's like, in the appropriate response of things need to change, what the fuck? And she's experienced white guilt. And so she is like, I'm going to use my affluence to go help this team go to the national championships because they've qualified, but they can't afford to go. Unlike her team.
So wait, so she finds out that everything's happening. She decides she wants to make it right by taking her whiteness down there and solving the problem for them.
Correct.
Okay.
So you're following me for now. So
sure.
So
I'm trying to figure out at what point. Okay, fair enough.
Just wait. So she's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. We can afford to go. They can't afford to go, but they should be able to afford to go. So she gets her dad's company to sponsor them. So she goes down with this check and she's like, yes, they're going to go and I'm going to feel better about myself. And then Isis, Gabrielle Union, bless her heart, amazing, beautiful woman, comes up and goes, I don't want your money. We're going to get there on our own because we can and we will. And when Torrance is like, but I can give you the money, and she's like, I need to be strong for my team. I need to show them what a real leader looks like, and you should show your team what a real leader looks like. And she rips up the check. And so now Torrance has to deal with the fact that it can't be the white savior. Like, she can't just feel the guilt and go down and give them money and put a Band-Aid on it. That's not how it works.
Right.
And so she has to go back and go, well, fuck, I need to be better and do better. And she fails again by listening to others and not herself, and takes the lazy route of hiring a cheer coach, which was a really bad idea. And then the Clovers get to go because they reached out to an Oprah-like character, and so they get the money to go.
Wait, hang on. So they reach out and end up getting charity from someone else.
Someone who was, so the Oprah-like character was from their community. So
okay.
They were, yeah. It was a very community-centered thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very important.
Just making sure I'm understanding, because like I said, I haven't seen this movie, so I'm just trying to understand where we are with it.
Yes. So they reached out to a woman who is of an Oprah-like status for the time period, who is from their community, or was from their community before becoming famous. And they reached out to her. And she's like, heck yeah. So they're able to go to the nationals, the competition cheerleading thing. And the Toros, so Torrance's team, also gets to go because they can clearly afford it. And they made the mistake again of hiring this cheer coach to come up with a routine for them, which was also used by another cheerleading team. So there were two teams with the same coach did the same routine. It was not good. And the Clovers did a really good job. So the Clovers made it through, as did the Toros, even though they had the same routine as someone else. So now Torrance has to go, well, I fucked up again, and I need to be better. And so she has to come up with a routine. And instead of taking the easy way out, and instead of stealing from someone, like the lazy way or stealing way, she's like, we're going to get weird. And they look at kung fu movies and weird 60s musicals and a bunch of other stuff and incorporate that into their cheer to make it unique.
Wait, so they appropriate other cultures instead?
Well, 60s musicals aren't really appropriating other cultures.
Right, but when you're talking about kung fu movies...
Yes, true. Yeah, it's more she's taking from entertainment. But yeah, I see what you mean.
Yes. Okay, so she has yet to really learn her lesson.
Correct. She's attempting. She's also a teenager.
Okay, fair enough. That's fine. I'm just making sure I'm wrapping my head around this here.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. So they're not stealing from people in their own backyard or hiring some guy to make up crap for them. And so they come up with this new routine. And they're taking it to the national championship. And so it's them and the Clovers in this national stage. And by the way, I have read articles about how like neither of those two teams would ever have won a competition because the Clovers made a giant mistake in the middle of theirs. And the techniques that the Toros used in it would like immediate disqualifications from national cheerleading championships, which I think is hilarious.
I find that incredibly hard to believe, and if you want to actually like talk through my issues with shit like that, ask me sometime about the first fucking Transformers movie. Because Megan Fox, Jesus tap dancing Christ, is just like so one scene with engines and just there's no one around. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. Like,
all right, you understand.
A movie about fucking cheerleading. You can't just like call someone. They have a genuine organization. We can't pay this person a day rate to just kind of go, hey, that's not how that works.
Right? You would think, but no.
Goddamn laziness.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right? They should have learned from their own script.
Yes. Yeah. We can't just steal shit from other things all haphazardly and think that we're going to nail it.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So.
Sorry. Go ahead.
It's like basically the whole thing comes down to if you do your best, things will be okay. And for some reason, I'm like not. There's two different endings to the movie that I didn't know about until very recently. Hold on one sec. I want to look up. I put it. I pulled it up.
Wait, why two different endings to the movie?
So in the end of the actual movie, so the theatrical cut, the Clovers win. So Isis Gabrielle Union's team wins. And the Toros get second place. In the alternative ending, which I think is in the DVD or maybe the Blu-ray or something. I don't know. I'm not going to look it up anymore. So in that, the alternative ending is that I can't remember who wins, but they both go on to cheerleading at the same school. Isis and Torrance are then on the same cheerleading team in college. So it's like an epilogue is the ending.
You're good. Sorry, yeah. I'm getting panicked emails from work, so I'm just.
Oh, okay. I was like, what? So yeah, in the end, the Clovers are the more respected team. They win. They had done all the work. Isis didn't fuck up. She was like, I'm going to be a strong leader, and then was, and came out the victor. And Torrance fucked up repeatedly and got to second place and went, you know what? This is the best I could have done, and I'm okay with that. And they went away as friends. Unlikely friends, but friends. And I really appreciate that the fact that it was an ending that came away with mutual respect. And with Torrance actually having to do the work instead of it just being like, here's money so you can go too. And I like that the directors really put a lot of focus on diversity to make sure that it was like, hey, guys, this is what the movie's about. I know it's about cheerleading, but like, it's also about other things.
Right.
The love interests in this movie were really problematic for me, though. Like, it just, Eric, her annoying boyfriend, was just terrible. And then Jesse was a little too nice guy, capital N. He was like borderline. Like, he was like, could he be like an actual cool guy? Or is he one of those guys that you're like, I don't know. I felt really weird about he was very bratty, that's for sure. About the love interest in Bring It On. But you know what? I didn't give a fuck. Why? Because the overarching theme of the movie was way more important to me. And the movie's funny, so like watch it.
Right on.
But I think people look at that and go, cheerleading movie, but really it's a commentary on racism.
No, I mean that makes sense that they would try and tackle that. It does seem like compared to some of the others, maybe they didn't do the best job of wrapping their head around it.
I think, I think they did quite a good job. I just feel like
I'm probably looking at it the same way I looked at one of the earlier ones. I need to look at it from the glasses of the year it was made and realize that they did a damn fine job of it.
For 2000.
Right, yeah. You can't look back at things and assume that they're A-OK. Like, there are some serious lines in the sand where we can look back at history and go, no, that's fucking wrong. But like there's a certain level of understanding of like, you can only tackle a topic but so much in this timeline and be able to get it across made by a major studio too. And that's the other thing.
Well, like that's part of it. Ow, fuck, cat. Ugh. That's my foot. My cat decided that she wanted to attack my foot. I'm sorry, I'm not paying attention to you, but I'm talking about movies. Sorry, I had to let her know. What I find interesting is that a movie in 2000 was made with this concept. You know what I mean? Like, it's 2000, not 2017, where a movie is being made about, a girl who is in essence in the beginning of the movie a white savior and then is rebuffed and has to then go work out her shit.
Right.
And she's just Torrance is just an earnest person who wants to do the right thing and has no idea how to do it.
Right.
And I feel like that's very real. And in interviews that I've read about it, like, Gabrielle Union and Kirsten Dunst both felt very personally attached to their characters, that they felt that like Kirsten Dunst said that it was her easiest role to ever play because she was just playing herself as herself.
Right.
And they just identified so much with those characters that I feel that also came through really well. Everything felt really honest, with the exception of the love interests. That was a little clunky, but the actual, like, the friendships that were made and how everybody reacted to each other and the feelings that were felt by the characters, I think really came across and dealt with the topic really well.
Okay. So let's double back here real quick and kind of wrap it up, because I feel like there was a theme going on too among all of these movies, which is basically don't judge a book by its cover. And I think in this sense, every one of these movies could be written off by someone who, for lack of a better way to put it, looks exactly like me, because most bro-y dudes are going to write these movies off.
Are you wearing your Macho Man shirt?
Yeah, of course I am. I went to the gym after work. So.
Okay, so you're all right.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, he's wearing a purple Macho Man Randy Savage shirt.
Yeah.
I don't even need to see. I literally see the collar of his shirt and a slightly different lighter purple and a slightly different darker purple and know what shirt you are wearing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, luckily, I don't wear a ton of colors. So when I show up in a shirt that someone else has seen me in, like, my God, Brandon's in a color other than black. You
That's fair.
Notice. Yeah.
Yes. And a backwards baseball cap. So we can set the scene.
Yeah. I have fallen out of a 2005 episode of an after school special. So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but that's the thing to learn here is to watch those. So one more time, give me the list of movies. Everyone needs to go back. Mandatory viewing. We've made this decision.
This is homework.
You want to be a brawler. You need mandatory viewing.
To be fair, when we have brawler sleepover nights, this is totally what we watch.
Right.
I'm not even joking. So you need to go back and watch the 2001 classic Josie and the Pussycats, the 2001 classic Legally Blonde, the 1995 classic Clueless, which is my favorite movie of all time ever, and
damn fun film.
Bring It On, the 2000 classic.
Okay.
If you can't get down with Backdoor Lover by DeShore, and if you can't love Elle's little baby beautiful Chihuahua Bruiser, and you can't find an iota of joy in Clueless, and if you can't see the social commentary and Bring It On, then I am sorry, but you need to rethink your life.
Yeah, no, I'm right along with it, and now all I think of when I think of de jour is the short-lived band Together. And
I love Together.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh man, MTV.
Yeah, secretly, not so secretly, Colleen and I are about the same age, grew up in the same influences, and enjoy the same things. So
yes,
yeah.
I am 31 years old and I am discussing teen movies.
Yep. Yeah.
I am 31 years old. My favorite movie is Clueless. Fuck you.
Yeah. No, I'm right along.
Don't care.
I'm 33 and I know I skew a little older, so my favorite, Birdcage. Like, trust me, I am a complex
still
man.
A good movie. Still a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that sometimes people take things at really weird things at face value, and I will watch the stupidest, most asinine shit and see if I can find something in it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I can't, and sometimes I can. But in these movies, they seem on the outside as just fluff.
Yeah.
But underneath that fluff is a robust skeleton of social commentary. And satire, and that is important to me. And if any of you have ever wanted to discuss Austen, you can find me on the internet, and I will talk to you about Jane Austen all the time. And if you want to loop Stabby Abby in, she and I will also both talk about Austen till the cows come home, because brawlers love Jane Austen, the beautiful satirist of the Regency era. Yes. I'm not joking. It's a brawler thing. You have to like Jane Austen.
Right on. All right. So, Colleen, where can they actually find you to be able to tweet at you?
Oh, yeah. So, on basically all things, Saddest Arcade. No, just Saddest, and then Arcade. Pew, pew, pew. And if you're in the DC area, I'm going to plug myself real quick if that's cool.
Do it.
If you're in like the general DC, Maryland, Virginia area and you want to come see me doing something that's not super art fight related, but still awesome and art related, I am in a play called Cabaret Rising that is going to be in the DuPont Underground from February 9th to March 4th.
Okay.
The only time I will not be there is for Katsicon, because I had already made that commitment.
Right on.
Wow. So, yeah, it's super fun. And if you hit me up, I can tell you ways to not spend a shit ton of money on it. Nice. But it's going to be really awesome and good. And it's a choose your own adventure thing. So you should go.
Yes.
Social commentary and me drawing stuff and ghosts. There are going to be some ghosts.
We know you are an expert at all of these things.
Right? Yeah. So come see my play. It'll be great. I promise.
All right. So you can find Colleen once again at Saddest Arcade on Twitter, and where all fine social medias are sold. You can find Super Art Fight at superartfight.com. Just type in Super Art Fight into your Google machine and follow the map to the nearest Super Art Fight near you. You can find me at Brandon Chalmers on Twitter and at Bomber Brandon on Instagram. And I think I use Facebook at some point along the way. But
yeah, I'm Saddest Arcade on literally everything.
Right. Yeah. So for myself, for Colleen, this has been So That's Cool, a Super Art Fight podcast. Go watch a movie, you jerk face.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you.